Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing Quacks podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Dozer, and if you're new to the show, the mission here is to expose the quacks in the marketing industry while featuring some great marketers and entrepreneurs along the way. On this episode, I'm excited to welcome our guest, Ryan Snaadt. Ryan is the owner and founder of Snaadt Media Group, based in Des Moines, just like myself. Ryan, thanks so much for joining the show.
Hey, Ryan, you got a good name. Ryan's a good name, so thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for full disclosure, I was actually on Ryan Snaadd's podcast, which is called It Rhymes with Odds. So we're going to dive into that later in this episode. But Ryan, for those who don't know who you are, just do a kind of a quick intro on who you are and what you do with Snaadt Media Group.
Sure, yeah. So, hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Snaadt. It rhymes with odd. That's kind of my catchphrase. I always say that because people struggle with the last name. But owner of Snaadt Media Group. We're a video production company based here in central Iowa, and we specialize in helping corporations better understand their marketing strategy. And we'll talk more about that today. We're kind of merging the video production with the actual strategy of how is this going to make more dollars and cents or help recruit people or do whatever other types of business strategies people are trying to do. So, been doing it for probably about 8 years now, full time in the business for 4 years. It seems like way longer than that, but it's been super fun. I'm really excited and love what I do every day.
Let's talk about your journey into Snaadt Media Group, because I know when I met you, you were still full-time, kind of doing stuff on the side as a videographer, but still doing that full-time 9 to 5 job. Talk about your transition and how you started Snaadt Media Group.
Yeah, it's a story I tell a lot, and it's one I'm happy to share. So basically, I started the company in college. I went to Simpson College in Indianola, Iowa, so just south of Des Moines. And I basically started my company when I worked at Target. I got a $500 camera when I worked in the electronics department on my employee discount. And in that first year, I took that camera and made about $10,000 with it, just shooting little projects here and there around campus and around the Des Moines area. And I was working part-time, going to school full-time. I had a social life, and I'm like, this is kind of an interesting thing. So fast forward to graduation. I ended up working for a production company for 4.5 years in Des Moines. And we did large scale productions for really large companies. So we had like 20 employees. We didn't do anything with a production budget of less than like $10,000 or $20,000. Very, very high scale projects. So worked with them for 4.5 years, and I was shooting nights and weekends here and there, just doing my thing. And then COVID hit, and my wife and I were engaged, and we were planning our wedding. And we were kind of at the same time COVID was going on, we were aggressively paying off all of our consumer debt to try and get it out of our life. So long story short, in a year and a half, we paid off $116,000 of debt. And in that process, I built a 6-figure business on the side. I was still working my full-time job and had this company really just blow up nights and just doing nights and weekends. So right before I left, I was working as much as I possibly could. It'd be 9 to 5, and then come home at night and work from 7 till midnight every night for like 3 years. I did that. And it sounds miserable and drudgy, but it was really fun. Like, I just love this stuff, and I love creating things. And I was learning so much online about everything I could of just marketing strategies and online course creation and YouTube SEO and just all these things that I kind of went to YouTube University to get an education in. So yeah. And then, like I said, left and went full time. And it's been a really fun experience, just build my own thing. And we have a studio in Granger now, and starting to build our internal team and hire part-time, full-time employees, interns, all that type of stuff to really scale it up. So
Yeah, your story is extremely impressive to me, and I like how you mentioned that some people might think you're crazy, but I love the game too. And so it's just different for entrepreneurs. I feel like who are in love with the game, they just like can't wait. It's like a kid in a candy store. You just can't wait to like work on the next project or build on your existing project. So I completely understand where you're coming from there. Let's talk about some of your wins. I guess if you had to highlight maybe 1 or 2 wins in video marketing, what would those be?
sure, yeah, I would say some of the biggest wins that I have in my mind are when clients come to me and they come with an idea for a video, and then we completely redesign their thought around video marketing. So a good example would be like a gym chain came to me a year or two ago, and they're based in Oklahoma. They have 11 locations down there and in Arkansas as well. And they came to me and they're like, "Hey, we want to start doing video," and we start talking through it. And then they're one of the clients that I always think of when I started going down this rabbit hole of like, well, what's your churn rate of what's the churn rate of your first 3 months of a member in your gym? And like, how are you different than your differentiators from your other competitors in the market? And all these like kind of bigger questions that people are like, dude, I thought you just shot videos. Like,
You're trying
what
to
the
be a
heck are
business
you talking?
consultant. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a consulting piece to what I do, which is I don't even charge for it. It's just, I can't sleep at night unless I give all my knowledge I can to these people to take it. And I've even had clients take my strategy and hire another company to do it. And it's just really funny because I'm like, there's a lot of value in that. But when this client specifically came to me, we ended up redesigning their entire video or their entire funnel. And we put videos at these key places where they were losing people. So obviously video ads, but when people come to the landing page, like putting a specific video there to get them to convert to get that lead information. Running certain remarketing ads when people come back in the funnel, drip sequences via email when people come in that are new members, because that churn rate is super high in the first 3 months. So if you get them past 3 months, now they'll stay longer, and then now you make more money. So those are the types of conversations and wins that I would say are super fun. Also, for me, it's certain clients that will go to them, like this client, for example. My crew and I would fly down there for a week and shoot all their marketing collateral for an entire year in 7 days. So that's super fun to just like come in and just completely take control of a production set and be like, we have a schedule, we're doing this, we're doing that. And then in the post processing process of it, editing all these videos together to execute the strategy. And it's super, super fun because video, in my opinion, is the best medium to communicate with people and spread your message as wide as possible. So being able to implement the medium with the strategy is what really fills my bucket at night. So
I agree with you 100%. We've talked about this offline too. I've been into YouTube lately. I've started about 10 months ago, and I've never been more bullish on YouTube and video marketing, especially in the age of AI. So I'm excited to talk about AI later on in this episode. But what are a couple tips and tricks that you have in terms of video marketing for anyone listening, since I would consider you a subject matter expert or a thought leader in this space?
sure. No, that's such a great question. I would say overarchingly, you need to figure out where your people are hanging out on the internet, and you need to be there and be there with video and consistently show up for people. So for me, I'm B2B, so I'm on LinkedIn a lot. If people are listening to this, they've probably seen my stuff on LinkedIn. We have a lot of mutual friends on there. So, and that's what I try to do is like show up and be present there. So there's a couple different verticals. I would say content marketing is a really popular one that people talk about in terms of like doing video online. I would say though, the number one tip I would tell people to do is if you can use video to storytell on your website, that will help convert miles and miles past doing content marketing, because you could spend a lot of time making a TikTok video, a day in the life video, and then you edit it together and you spent 4 hours and you post it and it gets 200 views and it doesn't do anything for your business. Where I always encourage people to have these like funnel videos where if you have a lead that's about to close and you're trying to get them on a phone call, have your sales team send a sales differentiator video that points out all the reasons why you should hire them to get them on that call to convert them, because they're like about to buy. That's what video marketing is like strategically plugging videos in where it makes a lot of sense to get a sale or to recruit someone if recruiting is a big issue, or whatever other business strategies or challenges that you're having. Is really rethinking, how can I use video as a conversion tool to get more of what I want. So again, the website's a great example of that, to have a landing page website for what people want to do and see, having a follow-up email sequence if you have kind of a lead nurturing thing that has to happen for a higher ticket project or service, using video to get more of what you want. That's really what video marketing is all about in my mind.
No, that's a great answer. And there's always that trust element that I think that video captures so much more than just any simple text copy or anything of that nature. So let's talk about your podcast here for a minute now. As I mentioned earlier, I was on your podcast. What are some of the goals that you hope to achieve with this podcast?
Sure, yeah. So I started Rhymes with Odd, which is my show because my name's Ryan Snaadt. It rhymes with Odd. That's why I called it that. But I started the show mainly because we had a bunch of clients that were doing podcasting that we would go to them and film and edit their show and come back. And we have a studio now that people can come here and rent. So number one benefit of doing that was to showcase the space, to have potential podcast renters that want to come in, see the space in action, and use it that way. The second thing was I love having conversations with business owners because, as you mentioned, this business consulting piece of what I do, it's in every interaction I do when I talk to a business owner. I'm like, how's business? How's this work? Oh, how about this and that? And like, I end up having a conversation that I'm like, I think people would benefit from hearing this conversation. So that was the other benefit of it. The other side of it was I have a YouTube channel with 16,000 subscribers, and it's very hard for me to consistently film, edit, and put out and schedule videos on a consistent basis when I'm doing all this other stuff. We've got 15 or 20 clients at a time that we're shooting, editing, going through a sales process with. I'm trying to hire a team. I have an online course business that I'm trying to grow right now. There's a lot of things where I just can't sit down for 8 hours a week and film and edit a video. So the podcast is the easiest way, in my opinion, to do long form content. We're doing it right now. You sit down, have a conversation, And now you have a weekly show you can put out. You can pull social clips from it. And now you can touch people in a, not in a weird way, touch people, but you can have more social media touches throughout the week. So you're the thought leader when it comes to those topics that you want to discuss. So that's really why I decided to launch my own show. And I've been encouraging my clients for years that podcasting is one of the best ways to easily put out consistent content. My show, I think I'm 10 weeks ahead on mine. So I batch record all of them as much as I can. And then I have things that I can publish every single Monday. So I think in a couple weeks, we'll come up on our 52nd episode that will come out. So we'll officially have one year under our belt, which is pretty exciting.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm doing this podcast. It's a great way to have both long form and short form content. And also to what you said too, podcasting does work. I can't tell you how many people I've had reach out to me either looking to be a guest, maybe potentially working together, and they're lurkers. They're not the ones that are going to be liking all your posts, but they're listening behind the scenes. And maybe one day they'll reach out to you and it could lead to an opportunity or go somewhere. So I do agree with you that podcasting works, which is kind of why we're talking here right now. So let's transition a little bit to YouTube. You mentioned you have 16K subs on YouTube, which is extremely impressive. How are you able to grow this channel?
Yeah, so I actually started the channel 10 years ago when I was in college, and it started with doing weekly uploads on fitness content. I think I did a weekly video for 52 weeks straight and only had 40 subscribers. But when I started the show, I didn't know anything about marketing. I was in college. I was just like wanting to do
Just
fitness
post them to
videos. And then
post, yeah.
exactly. I just wanted to get, and it did help me a lot with just learning how to edit quickly and turn videos around. Cause obviously I do that as a service for my business now. But, in terms of the marketing strategy and how I did that was once I got some reps with editing and stuff like that, I realized that there was a lot of people on YouTube talking about camera gear, and not anything about like the business side. So my ideal audience is like 20 to 25-year-old videographers that are kind of starting to make money doing this type of thing. At least that's the audience that I made all my subscribers around, and I kind of based this whole project around. So I grew my channel by basically doing YouTube SEO, which you're pretty well versed in some of these things, but I would research topics that I knew I would have been looking for when I was 20 years old, when I was starting my business in college. And I just made videos based on that. So like how to close higher ticket projects, how to like sales tactics for things, marketing strategies, what CRM I should use to run the back end of my business, all these questions that come up with those things. So that's kind of how I started it, was just like doing topical based things. The first video that popped off, which is still my highest watched video, which I actually intentionally made viral, which was kind of fun, was a video called GoPro Photography Tips and Tricks. So I had researched how to take better pictures on a GoPro. I saw there was I used a couple of plug-in tools at the time. And I saw that it went like 10,000 searches a month and there was only 1,000 results. So there was like barely anything on the internet about this. So I watched the top 5 videos. I took notes on all of them. I took my own input and condensed it and rearranged the order. I shot the video, exported it out. I named it GoPro Photography.mp4. The title was GoPro Photography Tips and Tricks. I put the words GoPro Photography in the description like 30 times. And I posted it. And a year later, it had over 100,000 views. And now it has almost 300,000 views, which is crazy. But the stupidest thing about that was I did all that crap. I didn't have one thing I was upselling. I didn't have a lead list I was promoting. I had no call to action. I just said, thanks for watching the video. And I ended the video. So I had 300,000 potential people that could have taken action on my business. And I didn't do it because I was naive and stupid and young. So I'm still bitter about that.
It's all part of the game, bro, but it led to subscribers and it led to growth, channel growth, brand recognition. And honestly, what you just said there was just like a master class of how to win on YouTube. So I always joke with people like, I'm not very creative. And as you probably know that, I've admitted that to you every time we talk, but I have an SEO background. And so I've grown a channel from 0 to over 3K subs on one of them in 7 months, 6 or 7 months, which a lot of people can't even get monetized. And I mean, only 6% of channels that exist, I believe, are monetized. And people struggle to hit that 1,000 or 1K sub mark, and they take years to get this. And it's because they're not thinking marketing wise. They're not thinking about the SEO behind their strategy. They're all just creatives, just posting to post. So I appreciate that with what you just said.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And I think the other piece of it too is like, if I'll talk to business owners, they want to start a YouTube channel to make money. So they're just it's self-serving videos, like promotions about their business or whatever. And if I talk to exactly, and like no one's going to seek that out. If I go to YouTube, it's a search engine. It's owned by the largest search engine in the world. It's a search engine. So you have to treat it like that, where if I'm going to that search bar, how can I be something that can rank the first thing? One, it's got to be a relevant topic to my audience, that's a good way to go about it. That's the first thing. Second thing is if you don't have a professional looking thumbnail, no one will click it. So you can have the best video in the world, but if your thumbnail looks like crap, no one's going to click it, which is super frustrating for me because like I could make a really great edit, but my thumbnail's not the best and that doesn't convert as well. So when I in the early days when I had time to do it, I would go in and I would look because I wanted to get a 5 to 10% click through rate because my industry average was like 3%. So after a week, if I put it up and it only had like a 3 or 2%, I would change the thumbnail out. And that's how I got some of my really high performing videos going.
Wow.
So that's just another thing is like you can really, if you want to get granular, you can go really deep and nerdy on this stuff. And it's just time and tension, man. It's like time and pressure. You can just keep drilling your way through. And if you built your videos and your channels well, it can attract your ideal audience. And then if you're not an idiot like me and you can actually put at the end of the video, hey, if you liked this, join my newsletter list or buy my product or do this thing, you're going to be winning a lot better than me. And it won't take you 10 years to do it either. So
For sure. And I've been pretty deep into YouTube lately, and I've become very fascinated by how it works compared to just traditional organic SEO on Google. I want to stay on this topic for a little bit. What are some things that, for new YouTubers, maybe YouTubers that are listening that are struggling to hit over that 1K sub mark or just struggling in general? What are a tip or two that you would have for someone like that? I know for me, you just mentioned it, it's capturing that email, right? I can't tell you how many times where before I even started on YouTube, you have to capture that rented traffic, that quote unquote rented traffic to own traffic. That way you can start building an email list, start sending out newsletters, sending out affiliate deals, products, however you want to monetize that, but you have to capture emails. That's so important early on. What would you say are some other tips that you have for just people trying to figure it out?
sure. I mean, even before you start shooting videos, and this is what helped me a lot was I looked at my market and I said, okay, my topic is video production. What could I do that's going to make me stand out? Number one, talk about business because at the time there was no one doing it. So I'm like, okay, great. I'm talking to a new audience with a new topic that's going to make me unique. What else can I do? I'm kind of like a funny guy, maybe weaving some humor in the videos. So then even if you want to get super granular, every minute or so, have a little funny joke or some kind of thing that happens or a kind of reframe that happens where like your cat walks across the desk or your dog walks up and you start petting. You can cut in things to make it funny or interesting. So that you can get as granular as the pacing of it.
The
But
hook.
I would say the biggest thing though is like, how am I unique or how am I different? Because a lot of people say, oh, you're a YouTuber. What do you make videos on? And if you can't answer that in one sentence, rethink what you're doing. If I'm a YouTuber and I at the time I was like, man, I'm a fitness YouTuber. I make videos and no one cared because I had nothing unique about me. I wasn't some IFBB pro bodybuilder. I wasn't a celebrity. I didn't have anything unique about me at the time. So when I restructured my entire channel to be, okay, I'm going to serve 20-year-old Ryan when he started his video business in college and he had all these questions and I made a list of all those questions and I answered all those questions and lo and behold, 16,000 other people also agreed enough to watch it. And now I have 40,000 people a month that watch my channel. And I haven't even put a new video out for like 2 or 3 months because I've been so busy with other things. But because I can rank things in search, people find me. 40,000 people a month find me. You can't say that about an Instagram account. You can't say that about Twitter. It's the only platform in the world that has that kind of power. So that's something that I always encourage people is like pick your platform and go super deep and you'll reap the benefits.
Yeah, it's the second largest search engine on the internet behind Google, actually. And evergreen content that ranks is the move. I mean, you have so many things going on. I have so many things going on. So having that evergreen content that's going to continue to rank for years, just building your residuals in the background, that's the name of the game, as you know. So let's transition to AI a little bit. I talk about AI a lot on this podcast. We talk about AI, off scene as well. How are you leveraging AI right now, Ryan? Are there any tools that you're using? Talk about how you kind of use AI in your processes.
Sure. So the biggest process that I use AI for right now is my podcast production. So I use AI to generate questions for guests if I'm in a pinch. Like, hey, here's their website. Here's a brief bio. Put like 15 questions together, and I'll cherry pick the ones that I like. So that's a good way I do it. I also use AI plugins in editing. So I use Adobe Premiere. As you saw on our podcast, Ryan, we'll shoot everything in 3 cameras, and I used to manually have to go in and sync all the cameras and then I have to play the video back, which it's like an hour and a half episode. And I sit there and manually hit camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, whoever's talking, right? It took forever. So I couldn't do my own show. When this AI tool came out called Autopod, shout out to Autopod, they made this completely so I can edit my entire show in like 20 minutes now instead of like 2 hours. So basically, you just plug it in. AI detects who's talking and whose mic it is, and it'll switch the camera for me. So that just makes it super, super helpful that way. Then when the video is done, when I upload it, I use AI. So I think it's Glasp.io, Glamp.io. I'll give you the actual link after this. I don't remember what the name of it is, but it's a YouTube extension where it'll write a transcription from the video that's uploaded to YouTube. It'll suck it into Chat GPT. It'll spit out 5 top takeaways from it, and then I have a bunch of prompts that I just copy and paste because I've done this over 50 times now, where I'll ask it to give me 10 very highly clickable YouTube titles for this episode, give me a podcast description with links to the podcast interviews website, a bunch of different things like that. Write me social media captions for this post. Like, there's a ton of things that I can do in like 5 minutes and just boom, 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 and then plug it into my social media scheduler. And then I've got the entire thing done in like an hour with editing, the YouTube, everything. The thumbnail might take me like 5 minutes, but other than that, I've used AI for that entire process. So I would say like podcast editing has been the number one thing that I've been automating with AI, just because it's so mindless camera switching. And I don't feel like I'm taking anything away from my audience by using AI to do it.
You got the professional setup over there with the cameras. I'm using a tool like, I believe, Squadcaster. It's like one of Descript's platforms. So I just throw it into iMovie, maybe make 1 or 2 edits at the beginning and end, and then just publish it and go. But no, I'm with you. I use AI for a lot of stuff in my podcast workflows too. My cover art is AI. Dolly 3 generated that image. I use AI for all my descriptions, my titles, my YouTube tags. So very similar output to what you're doing there too. So where do you see AI going in video marketing? I know OpenAI just released Sora. That's kind of the new revolutionary AI text to video model. I just want to hear your thoughts on where you think it's going with AI video.
Well, I will say Sora has scared a lot of people in my industry. There are a lot of people, because I run the largest Facebook group in the world for videographers, and it's 93,000 members. So there's thousands of people in there that are like freaking out. They're thinking they're going to lose their job. In my opinion, AI video isn't a threat to what we do, because a lot of my clients are business owners. You have to physically go there and shoot that video. That person, you can't just replicate it. There is going to be a lot of, I think, challenges with advertising, with legitimacy for cross-checking if videos are real. You might have like a AI generated voice for like Donald Trump, and it's like an ad that a competitor could run and say, "Oh, this and that and the other thing," and now people might question things that he didn't actually say. Like, and that's just one example. It could be
Deepfakes.
Hillary
Yeah.
Clinton. It could be the CEO of Principal Financial Group. It could be anybody. Like, that's kind of scary. But in terms of like replacing video or being a threat to what we do, I think it's what I do specifically is a little bit more unique. But also, like I mentioned, I think it's a great tool for low level editing, because I used to hire an overseas editing team to do all of my podcast production, and now that saves me thousands of dollars a month to have an AI plugin that can do it for $20 a month. So that, I think, yes, it's taking jobs away from, again, lower level editors, but those editors just need to become more skillful in editing, that they can do more complex edits for video, for businesses or whoever it is. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So one thing I've always told people too is like I think stock video is actually in trouble. If you think about like drone shots, especially in popular areas like oceans or famous cities, I think OpenAI Sora has so much training data at its disposal through, again, this is all a question of ethics. I'm not ethically saying that this is okay, but they're scraping the internet, they're scraping YouTube for all this drone footage, this stock video footage, and you're just going to be able to use AI to just create that within text prompts. So what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think it's a good source though, because there's times like I shot a video in Indianola last week, and the client is in Australia, and they're like, "Hey, can you get a quick drone shot?" And it was a really bad day out. If I had an AI tool where I could just say, "Can you use Google Maps and AI technology to get a nice dolly in shot of the water tower?" That saves me an hour having to drive there, take the drone up, film it, drive back. Like, that's a good tool to have. And again, if your only skill is driving or flying a drone, you got to be able to diversify your skill set to be more of an asset to a production team. So I think it's a great thing. It's going to save a lot of time with those things. And then if a lot of times I'll hire out of state talent, if I have a production in like New Hampshire, I can hire a local team there to shoot it, dump the files back. If their drone shots are crappy and shaky, I could use an AI tool to get that. It just adds another tool to the belt, so to
Yeah,
speak.
for sure. For very specific use cases, I think Sora or whatever these AI text to video generators, they're gonna struggle. I think for sure. So
Yeah.
let's transition now to Quacks. This is the Marketing Quacks podcast, after all, Ryan. So talk about a marketing quack in your industry in the video marketing world. I mean, what are some gimmicks that you see people do?
Sure. Yeah. So we haven't even really talked about like my course programs or anything, but I would say online courses get a terrible rap for just people selling snake oil. It's just not, everyone just thinks, oh, you're making all these empty promises, or if you're guaranteeing like a business that can hit a certain dollar amount, well, you probably hit that dollar amount because you're selling people, and that's how you make your money is the courses or whatever. So I think that's been a big challenge for me as I've grown my online education business and helping just more people that I can. There's a lot of people that will just challenge you online, whether it's comments on YouTube or email death threats or whatever, like just the stupid crap that you'll get. But I would say that's been a really big one, and just like people being open and willing to learn information, um, but also understand that there is a marketing aspect to that. People aren't just, I'm not going to put out an entire encyclopedia of everything to know A to Z on how to start a video production business and not monetize it in some way. That would just be really stupid for me. Living in America as a capitalist that owns a business, like, that's just kind of silly.
Some
But
people think that, bro, unfortunately.
yeah, they're like, but oh, you misspelled this thing in a caption. I'm like, you realize I took 10 hours to make this video for you for free, and you're like complaining about this? Like, it's stuff like that where there's pros and cons to it. I will say another quack would be people thinking that they can plug in a marketing strategy and then it just works instantly. It prints money. A lot of my clients in the past would be like, hey, do you guys run ads for clients as well? Like we would shoot ads for them and they want us to run the ad campaigns. And I've had clients that were like, okay, we'll set it up, and they fully expect to get like a 4 to 1 ROAS in the first week as you're doing a testing campaign. And they pull the plug within the first 5 days because they're like, we're not seeing a 4 to 1 return. I'm like, name one thing in the world that you can put $1 in the machine and four comes out guaranteed, no risk, no nothing. Like,
It's all the TikTok stuff they see on the internet.
yeah, yeah. So it's a lot of that where it's like just educating clients on realistic ROI from an ad spend, especially nowadays. Like 5 years ago, the return on ad spend was much higher because it wasn't as saturated. Where now these platforms are kind of starting to phase a little bit. You have to really be an expert in these things. So that's another thing. It's just like not like having realistic expectations about a paid ad campaign versus organic, realizing that organic is going to take a lot of time, but it's free, so to speak. You're posting on a free platform to build an audience over time, where if you want to go really fast, you have to put money behind paid ads and have a different strategy compared to organic.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Well, I didn't mean to transition over your solo video pro. I forgot about that here in the notes.
That's
So let's
okay.
talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about your video course and kind of what are some goals you hope to achieve from that.
Sure, yeah. So I mentioned like I started doing YouTube years ago, and I wanted something that I wanted to have on my own to monetize my YouTube channel. So that's kind of when I started my course. I want to say it was like 6 or 7 years ago, and it was called the Start and Scale Videography Business Course. Say that 10 times fast. It was kind of a bad name. So rebranded it years ago to Solo Video Pro, and now it's currently the main flagship program is Solo Video Pro, which is a business course for videographers to teach them how to make their first 50, 100,000 and beyond in a video production business. So that's the main flagship program. Since then, I've done a couple other spinoff programs. Another one is Six Figure Fitness Filmmaker. So specifically, I shoot a lot of stuff in the fitness industry. So people are curious how to break into that space. So I have a program based on that. And then I also have a really quick down and dirty, like 101 level mini course for Facebook ads for people as well. So that's been a really fun way to, one, just like build a community outside of my YouTube channel. It's also helped me. Like I mentioned, I have a Facebook group that I run. So that's a great way to help monetize that program or that Facebook community to redirect people that way as well. Some of my plans for the future with this, though, as you might know, DIY courses are kind of dying right now. People just don't want to pay for them. And if they do pay for them, they typically don't watch all the videos and apply what they learn. So I'm currently in the midst of launching a mastermind for Solo Video Pro, which will go really deep, and we'll do like groups of 10 to 15 business owners that really want to scale fast. And I'll do small group coaching for them with a small lesson in the beginning, and then start doing like roundtable spotlights where they'll have like 30 minutes. They can ask me any questions they want. The group can weigh in. And I really think that's like the direction of online education is going, because I could buy the book to something, but I have to read it, right? Where this, I'm going to like hold the hand with 15 people, walk them through it for 3 months. And I think the results are going to be much, much better. So that's been kind of the direction of how it's all shifted around. by having DIY course options, but now starting to do the mastermind option as well.
I've seen a huge shift towards the online mastermind route too, especially in the SEO world. I've been a part of a few in the past, but I think it's a great option when you have 15, 20, 50 experts in one little group and they can spit off ideas. Oh, have you seen this algorithm update? Have you seen this? This is a new tip to rank for, optimization purposes, whatever the case is. I've been seeing that trend quite a bit. Well, Ryan, this has been fun. I appreciate your time as always. What are some final notes that you would have on just general marketing advice? It could be video related, or just how do you want to leave the audience here listening?
Sure. Yeah, I would say the biggest advice for that I would try to leave people with is everything is starting to change, as you're well aware of. Technology's changing things. COVID changed a lot of things, but really, I think the overall theme of what I'm seeing in marketing is people want authenticity more than anything. So if you're thinking about doing something with video or doing social media really hard or content marketing or whatever you're trying to do, and you're like waiting for it to be perfect, don't be perfect. Like, stumble through it. Even if the technology isn't great, you see other people out there doing a really highly produced podcast. You want to do your own show, but I don't have the right stuff. Like, do it, launch it, get it out there. If you want to start YouTube, shoot a ton of stuff. No one's going to watch it in the first 100 videos anyway. So just like put it out there, and if people do go viral, then it'll be a funny story to tell your grandkids that, oh, before I became a multimillionaire, I had these crappy videos on YouTube. Just start putting things out there, lean on other vendors that are out there for advice, or even if you have the financial means, hire someone out to do it to make it go fast and professional. But really, if you're trying to build an audience online, people expect authenticity. So if you're trying to help people add value, it's not self-serving. That's the best route to go, in my opinion, is just to lead with value, offer 80% free information and 20% of talk about yourself and sell something or have an upsell or an offer of some kind. You'll never go wrong with that strategy. The people that are losing in marketing right now are trying to use it as a silver bullet to sell their stuff. And everyone's BS meter is very sensitive these days, and we can all tell what you're doing. So if you just legitimately want to help people, if you really want to build a community for your target audience and help more people, lead with authenticity, help people, and ask very little in return. And you'll most likely have a really good following on social media that will lead to more business insights down the road.
Yeah, if you provide real value, the results tend to always follow too. And I agree with your authenticity point. I'm very bullish on that mindset as well, especially in the age of AI. People crave authenticity more and more. So, Ryan, that's great. Where can people find you online?
Sure, yeah, best place, probably LinkedIn, honestly. Just look up Ryan Snaadt. It's Snaadt. We also have a entrepreneurship and business podcast, which Ryan mentioned, which is the Rhymes with Odd podcast. So just you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. So those are probably the best places to learn more about what I do and again, get more value from all the business conversations we're having.
Perfect. And I'll leave a link to each of those in the show notes below this episode. So, Ryan, thank you again for your time and all the insight that you provided on this episode. And thanks again to everyone listening for this episode of the Marketing Quacks podcast. Be sure to tune in again next time.